Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. Hawkeye, Two Feathers, also known as David Null. I turned it around that time. I greet you as always with the love and the honor and the respect of the infinite creator. I hope that everyone is doing well. To all my subscribers and to the new subscribers, I wish to thank you for your prayers, for your comments. I wish to thank you for believing that I have anything or at all that may be of interest to you. I've spoken to many of you individually, and I wish to say this, and that your comments are always welcomed. Um, the fact that the new subscribers, hey, Sweet Pea, blessings to you. Sweet Pea being one of the newer subscribers to my channel, I wish to say thank you. Um, if we disagree, that's fine. If your point of view is different, that's fine. The whole idea is that my job here as a shaman in training and doing this channel is to just pop different ideas and things into your head because society has made us put blinders on about spirituality and religion and the earth and things like that. Everything in general has been, streamlined and, different cultures, different peoples, and for whatever the for whatever the reason and for whatever their names, we can call them the cabal or the Nazis, or we can call them this or that. Let's just say it's the evil guys, the bad folk, the folk on that side of the fence, or whatever, whichever side you choose. For me, my good side is this. This is my good angel. This side over here, go away. But I want to thank you all for even stopping and taking the time to consider a different point of view. Anyway, with that said, let me continue on with this. The dimensional differential, which I wish to discuss, there are many people who are having ailments, uh, energy fluctuations, just all kinds of weirdness um, going on. And I got to close a program or two. Things are being interesting here. Let me make sure that I got. Okay. So the topic for this discussion, and I dare you to find somebody else with the same title. Not that I'm trying to be, but it was an angel message given to me a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote it down. And sometimes they'll give me a subject. And I want to state right here to anybody that's listening, um, there are folks out there that I'm going to call New Agers, and I think they're trying to find spirituality. And my topic here about this um, uh, dimensional differentials is is tied to this. There are folks out there who are using spiritualism, but they're saying, "Oh well, why can't we invoke a spirit to us, or we can spirit conjure?" And if you've been hanging around, this side of the fence, if you will, as far as conspiracy and spiritualness and so forth like that, you may know who I'm speaking about. The channel and some of these folks. But listen, you got to understand that your higher self, your guardian angel, if you need to, you don't need to invoke a spirit. You don't need to conjure up anything because your higher self spirit is already connected. Okay. So um, there are people out there who are trying to say, well, if you want to get in touch with the spirit world, then get in touch with yourself. Don't go out there looking for somebody. I mean, I was chatting with a friend of mine, and we were discussing this, and it was like, no, oh, we're going to invoke a spirit. Wait a minute. To invoke, to conjure, or whatever, and this does have to do with the subject of the differential, the dimensional differentials, because there are people who are trying to reach in the other dimensions and pull stuff out. They're trying to force an issue. In the shaman realm and in the true spiritual realm, you are already connected in there. Your guardian angel, your higher self, you are, if you're going to invoke a spirit, invoke yourself, conjure yourself. Don't go out there and this was the example that was shown to me earlier. If you're meditating and you want to quote conjure, invoke, or otherwise channel an entity, and it would be like anyone from the farm going into New York City, picking any person at all, regardless of what they look like, and go, I'm going to give you the keys to my house. I'm going to give you, basically, I'm going to allow you to come into my soul. You have no idea. There's, millions of people in New York City. So in the spirit realm, there are people who are going, well, I'm going to invoke a spirit. Do you have a clue as to what you're trying to do? You're trying to pick out of the city of New York City, or pick a large town, pick a small town. It doesn't matter. If there's only 10,000 people, the idea that you're going to like, whoa, there's entities out there, I'm going to invoke one. Why? I've had this discussion before, but people who wish to think that they need to invoke or conjure or somehow, channel different entities. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's ignorant. I'm sorry. I have to be the grown up in the room about this, but people are, well, let me cast a spell. Let me see what kind of runes. No, you go into the rune area, and I'm not saying that runes are bad. I'm saying the improper use of runes will ruin you, period. And there are people who are trying to get involved with the spiritual world, and they're not taking the whole picture of what's going on. Oh, well, I'm going to invoke the name of a spirit. Why? Well, what are you going to do with it? Well, I don't know. I'm going to pray. And then why, if you don't need to invoke anything, why don't you just pray to or through that spirit? In the Catholic religion and other places, you use the term intercede. So I say a prayer, say for my one of my favorite saints is Saint Francis, and not the guy that the Pope is supposed to be attached to. That's anyway. I don't go into that. There's a reversism going on with that, but the true Saint Francis, he didn't want to be a saint. He was just a monk. They were going to burn him at the stake because he was using natural herbs and potions that some of the pagans had taught him. And he would bless, he was one of the few people to like bless the farm animals. And all the other folks were like, well, what's he doing? Bless the beast and the children. St. Francis, he blessed them. Holy water, feed them. All animals and children come unto me, a protector. And they twisted it. They turned it into an order. He, in his lifetime, I've studied this, and being an ex-Catholic, a retired Catholic, as some folks call it. But I understand that he didn't want to be followed. He just wanted to be a person. In fact, he may have been one of the Christ consciousness, in my opinion. Just saying. What has this got to do with dimensional differentials? Well, I've had this topic in my head for a while, and if I'm seem like I'm jumping around a little bit, I kind of am. I'm trying to formulate what's going on here. The New Agers are trying to look for other areas to gain information. And the angels, the ET, and everybody has been saying, and for the last year now, I've been kind of sort of on this preachy stage where We need to stay with our core values. We need to stay home. And we can still branch out and talk to folks and explore other things. But the idea that we need to invoke, conjure, or otherwise try to bring in some form or energy that we're not absolutely sure that we got that entity. You reach out there in the middle of New York, and there's some guy, and you say, "Hey, are you this spirit magician that I'm looking for?" And the guy looks around and he's, "Sure, why not? Oh, well, go come with me. I'm going to bring you into my house, give you the combination of my safe, and show you where all my guns and jewelry are. And oh, by the way, here's the keys to the car and the house. I trust you fully," after never met them. So in the spirit world, what do you think is going on? People want to invoke, conjure, etc. Do you really know who you're getting in touch with in this dimensional differential? Okay, because in this other dimension, that's where you're reaching out to, in however you want to do it. Now, there's some information out there now that Oak Ridge, Tennessee, on the west side of the Appalachian Mountains, and I think it would be Virginia, or at least very northern North Carolina. A lot of underground facilities there. I applied as an engineer many years ago, and it's like, oh, you got to have some clearance to even walk in to be a janitor in a couple of those places. Supernatural blessings to you. But that they want to do what CERN is shut down for. They want to try to break into another dimension, a parallel universe. They're trying to pierce the veil in Tennessee. Oh, why is all there extra earthquakes along there recently that I've been discussing? And they've been going on. Maybe some of that underground stuff is related to some of the underground stuff that's underground over there. And they're going to do what? Pierce the veil? They've got some kind of electromagnetic, don't know what it is, but it's, they're going to roll it out and fire it up and crank it up. If CERN wasn't bad enough on the other side of the planet, we're going to do it to ourselves? Just saying. So we can probably all agree that there are other dimensions. Whether we can agree on how many, what they look like, let's not go into that. Let's just agree that there are different dimensions. And the different dimensions are very much akin to radio stations. So you've got, AM radio, you got FM, okay? Now, you can't pick an AM station up on an FM radio band. Different frequency. In the universe is like that on so many levels, in different dimensions, in different realities, in different realms, different universes. So everything is a frequency. So it is very much like dialing everything in with a radio station. So if you don't have the right frequency, you ain't gonna hear it. Don't care. Oh, but I got the radio on, so it's plugged in, so I got an antenna up, so do you know what the frequency is? Not really. Then how do you know? And the other thing is, there are people in this dimensional differential business, people who are trying to invoke, they're trying to call into the spirit world. Hello, Delaney, how are you? They're trying to call into the spirit world. There's the phone book. They open up the phone book. They can't read the language, so they don't want to know what the name is, but there's a number in there. And so let's call this person out of the blue, meaning in the universe, other dimensions. We're going to call somebody out of the phone book and say, okay, this person. And I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, hi, my name's Hawkeye, and I'm calling into the spirit world. Here's my social security number. This is my password into my Yahoo account and my Gmail. And oh, by the way, blah, blah. I got money hidden under a mattress and an old, blah, blah, blah. What? Don't know who they are. So when you call into people that want to call into the spirit world, they're not they're not grasping what it is they're doing. Well, I'm just going to reach out there and touch somebody in the spirit world. Invoke, call. No. Stop that. We're getting so much energy. You can go, BP Earthwatch does a good job on reporting a lot of things, and he's got easy links. Not trying to promote Jesse, but he's not a bad dude. And he's been crapped on over the years. They dropped his channel and did a bunch of nasties. So, but the bottom line is that he's using science to show that things are going on. Now, he don't go into the spiritual and stuff like I do, but the science is there, and the quick links are on his channel. Just saying. But you know, a 2 cents for another YouTube channel out there. No, it didn't pay me to say that, but we need to help each other out in this. But anyway, but with that, you can see that the magnetosphere has collapsed several times in the last 2 weeks, especially since the 30th of June-ish. We've got all the earthquakes going on. Now, what has it got to do with dimensional differentials? I'm getting there. All of these outside energies, if the energies from the universe are collapsing our magnetosphere and having reactions on the earth, what the hell do you think it's doing to you and me? Now, each one of us, we're each our own frequency. And I try to explain it in terms that people can understand on a 3D level. You and me, we have an IP address. Like this computer has an IP address, I have an IP address. Me, my soul, my spirit, I got an IP address listed in the quantum. So if you and I can communicate in the quantum realm, then I know, or you've given me your IP address, so that we can communicate through the quantum without calling each other, whatever. We have feelings, shared dreams, thoughts, times a day, stuff like that. So that means we have learned each other's IP address in the quantum. Now, because we use the quantum as a vehicle to get our message through and back and forth, there's a residual in there. There's a trace. Is it recorded? Kind of, sort of. But it's not like anybody spying on us. It's just what it is in a natural form. What's this got to do with the dimensional differentials? This is all related, because frequencies, magnetics, universal, we're getting hit by some high solar winds right now, plus the other energy coming. And I'm thinking what came by Jupiter, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago, something like that, was coming in strong. And I thought that we'd notice it when it went through Mars, but Mars is in a different location. And so where it came from and came through and hit Jupiter, Mars wasn't in the way. So, and it affected, I was waiting on to see what Mars was up to. We got hit. I think it's the same wave that went through and hit Jupiter very recently ago. We are just picking it up because it was traveling, and we got it. What's that got to do with it? Everybody's been acting a little wacky since then. I mean, in ways that, no, I don't mean like crazy and whacked out. There's almost been a calmness that's set in. Now, I know a bunch of us have been, meditating. My constant prayer is always that, don't panic. We're all in this together. We're all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. And the more people become aware of that simple thing, the more we're having an effect on the entire world. People ain't quite bitching the same as they were 6 months ago. Yeah, it's a little heated up, and some people are like they're gonna be hard for them to give up their screaming and hollering, because they've been so used to screaming and hollering all the time. I mean, my grandpa, there were certain things he just, oh, God, there is so bad. I never, and some dogs don't learn new tricks. But the idea, though, that even with the consciousness is a wait a minute, there is a reality that sets in. For example, the Jeffrey Epstein thing and the arrest and all the sex trafficking and stuff. There's big changes afoot. How it's all going to roll out, don't know. But there are names. People are talking about this and that. People are shaking in their boots. I bet you there's going to be a few of these, if you know what I mean. Or maybe helicopters are going to drop out of the sky on the way, between Miami and the Bahamas. Who knows? I mean, JFK Jr.'s, plane went down, on a routine flight that should not have happened like it did. Stuff happens, if you know what I mean. So these changes are for the whole planet. Now, many of us have been talking about, I know my dreams in 2013 and the visions and stuff that were showed to me. We're here, folk, and we're also at the end of the Bible. We're here. We're in this transitional stage. The veil is being lifted on so many ways. They're piercing the veil with machines. People are trying to pierce this dimensional differential. Do we know where we're going? Well, no. If you don't have the right key code, you ain't getting in, at least to where you think you may be getting in. So one of these things, and I want to plant this in your mind now that I've kind of spent the last 20 minutes mumbling about these things, but it's all connected. And because you and I think, because we're of this like-minded, thing, I want peace, I want harmony, I want people, to be fed decently, clothed decently, housed, not out in the rain and suffering. Do we agree we should end suffering? Yeah. Now, how do we get there? That's a whole nother bunch of arguments. But if we are all agreeing on the basic single points, we wish suffering to stop on so many levels. Let's stick with that, because that's what's going to unite us. That's what is uniting us. I'm seeing it on so many levels. I'm getting phone calls from people, and it's all right. I mean, you want to talk about this personally, call me on Hang-Ups, or certain people. I mean, I'm listed in the phone book in the Moultrie directory here in South Georgia, so it ain't like I'm hard to get in touch with. And I do have an answering machine if I don't know the number. But the idea is like, listen, there are people that are having ailments they don't understand. Their ears are ringing. One side is don't want. I've been seeing fluctuations in reality, and it's like, people say, well, yeah, didn't you take a lot of LSD and mushrooms? Yeah. Ain't that a flashback? Oh, no. That ain't, whatever's been going on is not a flashback. I think I would know what a flashback is. But no, these are time differentials. These are dimensional differentials. Differences from our reality to what we're moving to. Now, let me read differential. I am on DuckDuckGo, and I typed in differential, and one of the choices it gave me is differential diagnosis. In medicine, a differential diagnosis is the distinguishing of a particular disease or condition from other diseases or conditions. In other words, you're trying to diagnose what it is. The differential diagnosis procedures are used by physicians to diagnose the specific disease in a patient, or at least to eliminate any imminently life-threatening condition. Often each individual option of a possible disease is something that ran out there. All right. So, for example, what is differential diagnosis? Chest pain. John visits his doctor. I need a drink. Complaining of chest pains. Headache. Sue goes to see her doctor because she's having a persistent headache. Pneumonia. All visits his doctor with symptoms of pneumonia, fever, cough, chills. Hypertension. So it may be that, when every time you go to the doctor, they're going through this, oh, where does the hurt deal? But what's causing it? Well, here's a pill to mask the pain. Differential diagnosis, a list of conditions that may cause a particular clinical sign or symptom. 2, the arrival at diagnosis by means of comparing the similarities and differences in various clinical signs. Okay, now that's giving you the broad meaning of a differential. So also in mechanics, the rear end of your car, if you have rear wheel drive, there's the differential. It takes power from one direction and it differentiates it into left wheel, right wheel. Okay. So that's called the differential. All right. So in dimensional differentials, we are all trying to deal with these differences from the dimensions. All right. So some of it, we all have chest pains, lower back pains. We're getting headaches. We got ringing of the ear in strange circumstances. There are times when I was telling a friend of mine, I said the other day, I was awake, I was alert, but I couldn't form a thought for nothing. I mean, I was like, do I turn on the computer? I don't know. What do I do with it? And I was totally aware of everything around me, but that was as far as I was just like sitting inside of me looking out, eating popcorn, going, okay, what's next? And the rest of me was trying to catch up. A really odd feeling. And it didn't freak me out. I just thought it was interesting in that I was having clear thoughts. I can't tell you what they are right now, but at the time I was like, well, this is cool. But, what are we going to do today? Have we fed the chickens? Trying to get through just normal daily chores, okay, what we're going to do, is it raining? What's the thunderstorms like? Where's the hurricane? Check on the, do our daily watchman check. And I just sat here and just kind of stared out the window and went, I don't know. What do I do? And the message from Spirit was, grab a snack and just look out the window today, at least for a while. And Anthony, proud to see you. So in some of this, and I talked about this well over a year ago, in that these energy waves that are coming in, and you can plot them in electronics as sine waves or different things, and you can relate them because they act very similar in wave function and motion with an ocean wave or a wave of water. And so, we hit these crests and we just got to hang on to our inner tubes. And I've talked about this before, and in wondering what the hell's going on with myself and some of this really oddness going on. But now other folks in higher areas and science and stuff, they're all chatting about this, the differential in time and space. They still want to crack the veil. They still want to get into the quantum. And I'm thinking, shamans, will look at you and go, so, but it's right here. It's through here. You're already a part of it. Why do you need to go searching? It's like you've got the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Yeah, well, the answer is within, because instead of trying to connect to all of these outside sources that you are searching for, you don't have a clue who they are. You've got somebody wrote a telephone number on the bathroom wall, and you're going to check and see who's there. Well, hi, who is this? I don't know. Where'd you get this number? Joe's Truck Stop? I don't know, just saying. But I mean, to call up into the spiritual world arbitrarily, who are you going to hook up to? People need to pay attention to this. That's why you got to stick to your own spirit self. Connect to yours. Invoke your own spirit to be closer and tighter. I have discussed it before, but it's very important. I did a video one time about the antlers, about how I went down to the river, and about finding feathers. I found this heron feather the last time I was down on the river. and I went over to an area I don't normally go, but I got a whisper, there's probably a present if you go. And so I said, okay. And I found two feathers, Hawkeye two feathers. That's where I get my name. But sure enough, there were two feathers, and the bird dropped them, was sitting just up in a tree. So to me, that is a spiritual connection to the animal world and to the natural world. And some would say, well, it is shamanism in that, I pay attention to all things around me. A gift of the feather, a gift of the bird and the energy from the feather, so it's like, so am I connected to my spirit guide? That's the test. If I hear this little voice, go over there, we got a present for you. Sure enough, just barely on the shore, but here's a, perfect feather. I listened, followed the instructions, and there it was. That's how you test yourself. Your spirit guide will guide you. Listen, there are little tiny things, and you can ask it, say, look, I think I've lost my watch. Will you tell me where it is? And just ask yourself, just spirit guide, guardian angel, call him Ralph if you want to. Oh, by the way, hi, Bob, to the AI out there. But when we give credence and recognition to it, then and we build up a trust. So my trust with my own spirit guide has been building all these years. And so that's why I'm like, I trust it. Do I want to slog through the swamp? If spirit guide's telling me there's something to go look at or whatever it is, I'm going to go slog because I have that much faith. And I have only once or twice in the long scheme of things have I ever, and I have I've been misled. And I say that I don't think I was misled. I just wasn't listening properly. Because every time, and it's never been anything bad. It's always been something positive. So for people who are searching, search no further than yourself to connect into your own dimensional frequency. Connect with your IP address. It would be like you got I've got a wireless little Chromebook here. So if I had a neighbor and they was, 50 feet away in an apartment or something, and I could pick up their signal, or I could use the signal in my house. Well, I don't know. And so it would be like using somebody else's Wi-Fi when I got my own here in the house. You understand? So I've got my own IP address here, modems on the wall, but, well, I don't know, my neighbor's over there, I'm feeling quirky. I'm going to use his IP address for me. Well, then, that's cheating. That's, and you're not getting a full connection because you're using somebody else's. There's all kinds of things attached to that. But to give you a physical look at it, you got to think of it in terms of that, because Wi-Fi is energy, the 3D, 4G, 5G, blah, 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 whatever it is. So there are people who live in areas where not only are the magnetics on the planet, the Schumann's been spiking. We're out of the spike, but just a few hours ago, it was really being nailed. And so we're in a quiet spell, but these waves are going to keep coming in. The planet is already heating up and moving. The planet is having her own dimensional differentials with the expansion of the planet. And, with the magma on the move, many people, someone new, hello, let me see. Oh, Aurora Rain, pleased to see you, blessings. Hope you are well in your world. But this idea, though, that, somehow we've got to use a different vehicle. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about this. Sun, good evening as well, or good morning where you might be. It's 2:21 here in my area, Eastern Daylight Time. I don't change my clocks. I'm still on Dave time. I'm on swamp time down here. Blessings, thank you. And hearts to all of you all out there. But in this, the differential in the dimensions that I'm going to try to use, science has got a formula. You come in with chest pains, they ask you certain questions. All right. You come in with a stomach ache in a particular area. If it's where your appendix is, well, they're going to poke and poke. And does that hurt? Does it hurt here? So, um, but moving into these new dimensional realities and things with all of these energies in all directions, in, up, down, back, and forth, we can agree that they're out there. Scientifically, we can prove these things are going on. It's how it's affecting you and me, though, is how you and me got to talk about this, because they don't know. So I quit going to the doctor now almost 2 years ago, and I'm off of um, all those pain medicines. Now, I do have a few that I have stockpiled that are for really bad instances. Like, I'll break one of them ones that I used to take 4 a day. I break one in half and take to Advil or to ibuprofen or to aspirin, and that's my pain med. So I'm dealing with it more on a spiritual level and on a cosmic level instead of allowing medicine to kill my pain. I still hurt. I'm getting older, yeah, and I'm slower than I used to be, but I'm still here. I'm still kicking, and I choose to keep kicking. I want to get better, not worse. Anyway, but these energies are whacking all of us out in different ways. So the biggest thing, though, is like I've been saying, and the messages keep coming from above and around. Please don't panic. If anything, make sure you just pull your energy in so that you can connect to your spirit guide. With that, we need to connect instead of trying to, we need to, they're giving me this image of an umbilical cord, you know, uh, another vision they're giving me right now. And it would be like a landline versus a Wi-Fi. And so landline, you're gonna get a good connection. Wi-Fi, not so sure. You got all these other things. So you want to be sure of, a good connection, in the industrial engineering and all they used back in the day. It was a T1 line, and now I don't know what they call them. But, it was for fast data transfer. I mean, you're sending huge drawings of machines and things, you don't want it to take all day. You want to hit send and pop that puppy off. You want to be able to communicate over the internet through these fast communications to, turn a 3D object and people in different parts of the world all be able to look at it. So these dimensional changes that we're going through, since many of us don't know what to expect, how can we explain it to each other? So it's like, for example, the first time I took a picture of an orb on purpose, the first time I listened to my higher self that said, turn your camera to this setting, put your flash on this setting and point it over here, and click, boom, there she was, all these orbs. And I went, oh my God. And now this has been going on for at least 15 years for me. At least 15 years. I think it goes back to 2003, 2004, where I was actively taking pictures of orbs because I was learning camera settings and the flash and all that. And digital cameras kept getting better. But so when I started noticing that, oh my God, here's this whole other realm out there. It's always been around. I've caught some of these on regular film back in the day with orbs around people's heads and stuff. And we all kind of, those aren't real. Those are, but then the digital age came and we could, go in, we got 12 megapixel now. Where back in the day, it was like a half, maybe 1 megapixel, maybe, And that was like, woo, that was the big deal, right? Um, so there's faster shutter speeds, etc. So I'm not going into that. But the idea, though, that we are now and have been peeking into this other dimension, and one could say, okay, no, hang in here with me. If I take a picture of an orb while I'm standing on beside the lake, which I have and I've shared it with you, and I want to go back and take some more pictures. Are they in another dimension? I see them in this dimension. So are they only third dimensional beings? Well, but they're existing in another reality because I can't see them, but I can flash picture them and they're there and moving around. I can prove that, it's not stagnant, blah, 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 blah. So they're the dimensional differential, meaning they're halfway, they exist in both realities. The difference between the two. So they are yin and yang at the same time. They are duality in itself. Because now, and because of a picture, bam, I'm seeing into their dimension and their peak and they're existing in ours. Oh, holy crap. So as the mind, as my brain, and I'm discussing this with you and I will continue to share it because this is how we understand our transition in this. What if I become a blue orb? It doesn't sound like such a bad idea, considering what I've seen blue orbs moving around and how wonderful and the feeling I get and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, well, wait a minute, being a blue orb might not be such a bad idea. And what if the orbs that we see are the souls and the entities and the beings who were trapped on this planet through the misuse of ancient technology that was first put here to protect this planet? So when I asked the orbs, I was looking through some of my notes before I started this video. And I asked the orbs when I was down on the river, why are you here? And the answer was, some of us are new here, but they came to help. Some of us are very old and are trapped and don't know how to move out of this other realm. And some orb being kind of things are here against their will, but have chosen to stay behind and fix it. And I just read it in my notes, and I was like, and that's what I was doing, automatic writing when I was down on the beach that night. So it's like I translated it right to the page without thinking about it. So in going back into my notes, I can look at that and go, that's exactly what they said. That some folks, were trapped here against their will, but have decided, now that things are opening up and the dimensions are opening up, they've decided to stay to help us, all of us, make the transition in whatever way this works out. So now there are going to be people, and in a way, I guess I'm one of the diagnosticians. I'm a doctor in a way, in that I'm not going to say, well, your lower back pain is because of this energy. I'm not going to try to diagnose your ills, but I am going to sit here as an observer and go, crap, the other day, my brain was so blasted. You too, me too, me too, me three, me four, 10 people on around 2:00 on last Wednesday. I'm making this up, but the idea is we all agreed something weird happened. We all felt a change somehow, physically, mentally, weirdly, whatever it is. Too many of us are experiencing this all over the planet. So, and those of us in the League of Like-Minded Beings, I've asked other people kind of, I'll ask you right now, if you wish to put in the chat room. Do you think in the last 3 to 4 months there's been a noticeable change in the awareness of people in general? Yes or no? If you're willing to participate in this little um, off the wall poll, if you will. But with folks that I've been chatting with and comments and seeing things in lots of other places, the nastiness has just died down. I see this working. And other people are going, it's a subtle change. But the franticness, yeah, a little it seems. I'm not talking about no grandiose woo, no. But there has been a subtle change and we can all feel it. Thank you, Aurora Rain. Yeah, and in some areas it feels like a big leap. Um, Delaney, thank you. So, and the fact that we're agreeing with this, we're helping to promote that same energy. Awesome growth as well. Yeah, I mean, even at my age, I still go out on the river and out on the lake, and I'm still being upgraded. And because I wish to allow it, I continue to allow any kind of upgrades or spiritual awareness. And there are some folks. This isn't about what grade you're on or how high you up on the ladder. It is about, have you found your own radio frequency? Are you tuned into your own IP address? Supernatural says, people I know have finally noticed the odd skies and commented and weather. Delaney says it's a shift change to the positive side now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of information in the ET side that says we won the war, but it doesn't mean that all the battles are over, and it doesn't mean that they haven't ratted out all the nasties. One of the things that I've been observing, for example, today, and I did a video on it earlier about Mount Hood in Oregon. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting, but maybe because there's been some UFO kind of activity and weirdness up there, but one of the things, there's been quite a few earthquakes going off around Mount Hood, and they're all within 1 kilometer. I mean, it's like 4.3, 3.9, 3.4, 4.1, 3.8. I mean, the depth. And they're all about the same, but it's the depth that's not higher or lower. It's the depth. And I mean, out of 10 earthquakes, they're all within 1 kilometer of each other. Now, other earthquakes down in California, I don't just observe the magnitude. I'm wondering what the depth is. And the depth is what's been interesting. So there's something going on between 3 and 4 kilometers down under the ground. And in California, the earthquakes up. Now, the earthquakes up in Alaska, because they're on deep ocean water, some of them suckers are really deep. But the ones in Nevada, some of them in the one in Montana the other day, the several of them going down through California in the last 2 days are all at a specific depth. There's a lot of this 3 and 4 kilometers. Now, there's higher and lower because there's so many more of them. But when I look through, well, there's another 3.4. There's another 4.3. There's another 4.1. Depth, okay? Different magnitudes. But they're all at a similar depth. That suggests to me that somewhere at about that depth, there's lava moving. No idea what, except that it's suggesting there's something at that level going on. A lot of stuff higher and lower, but the consistency, and there, one could expand it to from 3 to 5 kilometers down, but it's really odd that the 3-4 kind of thing, there's something going on there. Not a clue what it is, okay, but it's by simple observation. Same thing with the Schumann resonance. When you look at the charts, and Breaking Dawn and I have discussed this and have been observing this for quite some time, but there are background noises that are popping up. And in some instances, if you, and I know it, but not every chart has a face in it. But there's been some of these background that it almost looks like they're here. It's almost three dimensional, in that the way the waves go up and down and everything. It makes it look like it's curved, like concave, and then it comes back out on the chart. And it's the way the lines go, and it's almost like somebody wanted to draw this little curve, and it's really odd. And in there are almost faces imprinted in the Schumann resonance on the charts. Now, are these giants? Are these big beings that are being, I know that it doesn't show up often, but when it does, it's like it really looks like there's something there. I mean, I try not to make it be something, but when I keep getting my eye drawn back to it, it's like, no, that's hard to deny. There are background noises and things going on that are the frequency around the 24 mark has been hammering us a lot. Don't know what it has to do with it, but it is a multiple of 8, if you will. And so in there's numbers tied in this. So it's like a doubled, tripled number. And so it's a harmonic, if you will. So not only are our frequencies being altered, but so are each of our individual harmonics. So, I mean, I got one tune in this ear and another tune in this ear. And when they meet kind of sort of in the middle, I get a tone, this one's more rackety than this one. And, anyway, but if you've had the ear whistling thing going on for a while and two different, you kind of get what I mean. It meets in the middle. What do we do about this? One of the things that they keep instructing me to discuss is the self, the meditation, and I've discussed it in many ways, in that we must believe these changes are here. We can't go back from this, whatever it's doing to us. There are good things afoot. We need to focus on that and stay out of the panic zone of all the things. And thank you for your votes or your opinions. The idea, though, that many of us, like myself, we're not involved in the chaos, but each one of us are paying attention to it in our own way. Where you grow up, what's in your area, blah, blah, blah. You're observing the chaos on a world scale, but also in your own area and assessing the situation. For example, small town this way, I've been in little town stores, and if when you talk to rural people, in my opinion, you get a good idea of what the common folk are talking about. So, farm folk, old hippie rednecks like me, and, but they're all talking about, this world is crazy, but, they can't take this away from us. I'm still a free man. They may take this away and that away, but I can still go fishing on the river, or I still have this freedom, or I can, regardless of how bad it is at some point, instead of just focusing on the bad, they're going, yeah, well, 1 year, daddy planted tomatoes and it rained so bad and the black got them all, and we didn't get half the money out of the seeds, and all that time we lost money that year. But you know what? We made it through that, and whatever comes, we'll make it through this coming up. So it's encouraging to me that on a local folk people kind of level, that this dimensional differential we're going through, and where some of these old my age types would have been belligerent, they're acting more normal and go, we've made it through tougher times. And it's been so crazy, but they're not going to get me. I ain't joining their, I'm going to vote who I want to vote for. Democrat, Republican, chew tobacco if I want to, and my cold dead hands and blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, though, that when the hurricane comes through, these folks are volunteering with their chainsaws and pickup trucks, and they're checking on one another, and they're being human. They're being compassionate. They're being who they really are versus what society is trying to make them out to be. So I'm very encouraged. I continue to be encouraged, but we need to roll with the punches. So backache, neck ache, freakiness, call somebody before you go freaking out. Just there's certain things you can check. Just check the Schumann resonance out. Check this. Did our magnetosphere go down and back up again? And we're all whacked out because we literally got hit by a quadrillion ton energy bomb that squashed our magnetics. So it's like, putting your head in a vice and then going, blue. And it's like, whoa. It's like bend over until your face turns purple and then stand up real quick. That's kind of what's been going on to us with the compression of the energy, the different vibrations coming in. It's very much like we do. Boom. So um, I'm saying all this craziness to try to think of the word that when you stand up too quick. But anyway, that's what's going on right now. We need to just hang in there. The differential into the dimensions. I've noticed there are fewer people, and I'm thankful. We're going to roll right into the fifth, and we're into the sixth and stuff. I've noticed that people have calmed down about talking about the different dimensions, and I'm because there were several of us who put out prayers, and they asked us to relay the message. These people need to quit talking about this because they don't know what they're talking about. There are so many levels of the fourth dimension. These people ain't got a clue. Talk about blind leading the blind. It's like dialing up, some odd number in a phone book in a town you've never seen and giving somebody your credit card number and your social security number. Hi, I'm Hawkeye Two Feathers. You're in the spirit world. Here's all my info. Do with it what you will. That's just insanity. And we need to protect ourselves. But with that said, the more we hone in on us, our umbilical cord to our higher self, we can hear other things, but it always comes through my spirit guide. There's like a knock on the door, and it's like they get clearance. And so it's like, okay, I will allow this entity to ask you if you want to talk to it. What? Yeah, before it's like, oh, all kind of voices from all kinds of places, because I wasn't focused on mine. And so, well, what about this thing? Well, I don't know. No. And my guardian angel, this is years ago during, severe drug addiction and alcoholism, all these voices, when if I'd have listened to the main one, I'd have saved myself a lot of trouble and a lot of money, a lot of heartache, etc. But, in understanding, like, yeah, you can pick up any spirit, you can lock into it. It's like free range IP address. Who's in the neighborhood? Oh, they got a pretty strong one. Now you're on their Wi-Fi in the neighborhood kind of thing. Don't know who you're getting or what kind of virus might be there, or if they're watching your shit and selling it to the Russians. I don't know. But the whole idea is, why would you do that? So the Mother Mary message continues to come in with me and some what I consider other people who are really in tune. This one person was talking about, oh, Mother Mary's standing right here, right now, and she's telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Mother Mary is a sweetheart to me. And I find that disrespectful because she's too busy to stop and have a chat with your ass. And some of the stuff you're talking about sounds like your interpretation because Mother Mary's really clear with what she tells me. There is no ambiguity. It's like, talk about this, and this is the truth. Tell people to focus on themselves. ET is saying the same thing. It's coming in from two different channels. Focus on your own spirit guide. God, I'm repeating myself. But it is that important because with these new energies, what was that? Just flew. Whoa. Oh, that is a bug. Okay. Um, if we were allow ourselves to use this new energy coming in rather than fight it off or complain or try to figure out what it is, if we use it to focus on, this must be healing energy. I'm feeling out of sorts. Maybe I'm being healed. This cough medicine tastes bad, kind of thing. So that rather than go onto the side of fear or spend energy with like trying to figure out what it is, understand this is what it is. I know I'm beating my badger in the thing, but accept and receive the healing from the universe. You got to accept it. You can't fight it. And each of us is going to have to deal with it because of our own IP address. Now, there's also, how do I put this? Sadness in the realms, because there are many people who are being hurt by this and they don't know why. And so if you find somebody who may not be, talk on it anywhere near our level about some of these things, one of the things that we can do is just provide, listen, it'll be okay. Just be a calming influence in a situation that might be tenable to somebody else. Estera, just tuning in. Hi, blessings where you are in the universe. And so we should I'm listening to the messages coming in right now. We should continue to show compassion, and rather than trying to solve the issue, just understand ourselves that, I need to, be strong in myself. You can still share your own compassion, but with other people, I've had a couple of phone calls in the last couple of days from folks who, for some reason, need to talk with me. It's okay. It's all right. This isn't a complaint, but where they have not had conversation with me for quite some time, now all of a sudden they have a need to speak with me on the phone. Let's have conversation. And I'm like, okay, 3 months ago, you wouldn't have called me for nothing. It's all right. I'm trying to understand why there's a shift in pattern. And I think it's because these folks have been hanging out with the unawares too long. And that I'm somehow a grounding to understanding that other folks ain't picking up on, and I'm so crazy, I believe in damn near anything. But in that, let's stay connected to Mother Earth. Let's stay connected. Let's go outside and put our feet on the ground. And so that in some way, I seem to be a grounding force to them, but that's what I'm here for. That's why and I'm humbled that they're using me to call up and go, golly, my brain's going back. Talk me down. It's like, it's almost like I took a hit of acid and I don't know what to do. Call the door, talk me down. So when I see it happening on different levels, but I think it's a good thing. And people are talking to each other now. And the more that, rather than try to overdiagnose what our symptoms are in this, we can all agree we're having new age jitters, or I don't know how, pre-event roller coaster rides. We are having a dimensional shift. It's the differential. It's what we've been used to all my 67 years. And now I get up to this point and I look around me and say, wow, stuff's really different. And I mean, spiritually, vibrationally. And a year ago, I've talked about this, but a year ago, I'm like, I didn't really have much hope into humanity. I was just going to say, hey, y'all save your own ass and forget about the rest of the planet, because nobody seems to give a shit. And of course, I got my spiritual butt kicked and they said, you can't do that. That's not part of your mission, Hawkeye. there is a positive way out of here. And the positive way is to continue to accept the information. We continue to share our energies and understanding of these things and stay out of the chaos. Y'all are doing a good job. We're still here. I'm still half-ass sane, I guess. I don't know. But I can sure tell you that the energies in some of these things, though, and conversely, I can see some other people who literally seem to be jumping off the edge of stuff. It really seems that I don't know if there's any quote redemption for them, in that they're just hell bent for election. Was talking earlier about, eating pork and so forth. And since I got you all here for a minute or two, I've worked on hog farms, and I've worked on chicken farms, and I've worked in feedlots and cattle and so forth. I don't eat pigs, very little. Once in a while, I'll have sliced ham. I mean, cooked ham, or, ham hock, something like that for flavoring. But as far as eating pig and bacon and all that kind of stuff, I saw several members of my family die because they refused to give up bacon and bacon grease and eating cracklings and stuff, and lard and everything. I don't do that. And I made that choice quite a few years back. And I feel much healthier for it. I don't know what my blood pressure is recently, but I'm still here at 67, and I don't take any blood pressure medicine or anything like that, because I was having more adverse effects with the medicine than I was with the high blood pressure. But I do take supplements. I take zinc and many of the basic minerals, potassium, magnesium. Got to have magnesium. And just like my plants in the garden, I put some magnesium in a bucket of water, and all of a sudden my pepper plants grew this much in like 2 days. It was amazing. I got nice sized peppers on them now. But anyway, so sometimes there are things in us. We've got all the nutrients and everything, but it's locked up. Because we don't have the right amount of one or two key vitamins like magnesium. So magnesium, if the pH is off in the ground, plants aren't going to grow. If our pH is off, and especially, there's way too much research to discount it now. But if you're on the acidic side, that's one reason I keep an eye on my green arm here with the copper. If my arm gets too green, that means I'm too acidic. And the copper helps to draw it out, but it also tells me I need to go take a teaspoon of some baking soda. I need to change my pH in my body. I'm too acidic. Acid will kill you because all these other things grow off of it. The cancer cells, they grow on the acid side. So as all things in the universe, but if you get your pH right, then the magnesium can be intake in your body, the different things. Now, if you've ever worked on a feedlot or hog farm or something, you wouldn't eat a pig neither. Just saying. If you've seen these chicken farms around here and what they call chickens, they don't look like chickens. They're weird deformities. If they were chickens, it'd be one thing. But the way they raise them, and all the thousands, and eat each other, and it's some strange, bizarre crap. And I'm not eating chicken either. And people, oh, chickens like me. Yeah, but you ain't got. If you saw how they raise them sons of bitches around here, you wouldn't eat another chicken unless you went out and killed it yourself. I'm just here to tell you that. So, and the amount of stuff that they put in the chicken feed, the chicken's healthy, not healthy, or whatever. I mean, if chickens die in the pens, they don't go in and take them out. They let the chickens eat them. So they're eating each other, and when they die. So regardless of what it died for, if it died of disease or all these masses of chickens growing real close together with super duper hormones to grow real fast, et cetera, et cetera. Now all of a sudden you go, what? I'm not eating them sons of bitches. Sorry. And so people wonder why you're getting cancers and things, and well, white meat, dark meat. How about none? Now I'm a beef person. It's hard. Cows, they may get injected with stuff, but their body mass, how they're grown. Now, I ain't saying cows are stupid, but they're a lot more like doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Pigs are smart, and so are chickens. And I'm sorry, a lot of other reasons not to eat pig. But since I have not eaten pigs and chickens, my vibrations have changed. What? That's what I said. I went to somebody's house and, they had a cooked ham, and I'm not averse to having a piece of ham once in a while, but this ain't, bacon and nah, I can't remember the last time I had bacon. And people are go, whoa, bacon bits too. Oh, that's processed crap. And people wonder why. Well, I put bacon bits on my salad. I do this. It's crap. It's not really bacon, but it's something I like. And it's crap. They put a bunch of crap together to make bacon bits. It's crap. And you wonder why. Well, I don't know. I've got this illness, and you're putting crap in your body, and you're getting bombarded with all these energies. And some folks' bodies are absolutely just going wacko because the energy signature of these items that people take for granted in everyday life. And I've got a good friend of mine, she's a vegetarian, but she's eating all this soybean stuff and everything. And I say, do you know that there's probably more toxins in all that soybean than you're eating than one piece of hamburger? Well, yeah, but a cow was alive. So was the soybean. Oh, yeah, but it's a plant and it's different. Yeah. Oh, but I love these soybean hot dogs and hamburgers and yada, yada. But the soy bacon bits and the soy this. Do you understand how much poison's in them things? I used to work in fields. I planted soybeans. We went in and pulled the pokeweeds and cockleburrs out of the fields by hand. That's a bitch. And combined them and took them to the local place in Pavo, to the aerator dryer thing, weighed them. You check it for how much crap's in it. You grade it. I learned all that years ago. But if you knew what farmers were spraying on their stuff to keep the bugs and the this and the that and the weeds and all this stuff, and you say, oh, but soybean is the natural way. Seriously? Honestly, a piece of beef that's been shot with a couple of, thingies is the same as all this stuff put on them beans, sprayed directly on the plants. Well, it doesn't get absorbed. Really? Well, after all these years with the Roundup and the glyphosate and so forth, it's showing up in all kinds of stuff. I told folks way back then, I said, you don't know what that stuff's going to do to you. Well, some of those folks are actually dead now from cancers and things because I refuse to stop using this stuff. Store it in the building out back. And out here on the farms, grandkids running around. It's just there. I mean, you can smell it from 20 feet away sometimes. Oh, there's a hole in the can. Blah blah blah. Toxic fumes. All around. Okay. That has everything to do with our energy levels. One of the things that I've had this discussion before, but in order to update and upkeep our own vibrations, what we put into us is damn sure going to affect our vibrations. So I try to find things that don't mess with my vibrations, if you know what I mean. So I don't have a strict diet, but I stick with fruits. And I know a lot of people say, well, what do you use fresh fruits? No, because I know how fresh fruits ain't fresh. So I've got a can of fruit cocktail in light syrup. I do canned fruits, and here's my reason. Because as tomatoes, and I've worked on picking tomatoes and sending them in and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, you pick them before, just as they get a tint of pink, the green has just changed color, and you pick them green basically. They go into a box and into a freezer until they're being ready to sell, because you can't move tomatoes and do all this stuff. They bruise too easy. So when you get a tomato that's supposed to be fresh, unless you knew the farmer who picked that bad boy, it came out of a freezer. Because I picked tomatoes in my own backyard the other day, brought it in, put it in the kitchen, and with one day, it went from kind of sort of pink to orange, and I ate it. So if you go into a store and and your tomato is right and it's the right color, it only took it a couple of days to get that way. Where was it? Did it take 2 days to get from the farm to yours? No. They have cold storage plants down here in South Georgia and other places too, that where they take those tomatoes out right out of the fields, right into the packing boxes, right into the freezers. And well, they're more refrigerators, but they keep it at a certain temperature for so long. When somebody asks for an order, they go to the oldest tomatoes to pull first, because you always pull your oldest stock. But the tomatoes ripen on the way to the store. They're not ripe at all. You think you got it out of the field? No, it's been held in suspended animation. That's why I quit buying tomatoes at the store. I mean, it just didn't make any sense, because there was no smell to the tomato. People hold it up, there's no tomato smell. And if there is, a lot of times, it's almost like fake tomato. But anyway, but people who think they're getting fresh vegetables. I've picked greens. I've got greens growing in my garden right now, and I know how quick they go. So if somebody has, quote, fresh vegetables, it's several days old, they've kept them in suspended animation. They put them in a freezer, okay, or a cooler, 38 degrees, 36 degrees, and so you're not getting fresh. The whole idea of fresh is fake, because I've worked here. When you take it out of the thing, it goes to here, and then it goes to there, puts on another truck, and then it goes to the packing house, and then the packing house puts it immediately into a freezer or cooler, and then they find a buyer, and then it gets sold to whoever buys, whatever the product is. So people who are all on this organic, oh, it's fresh, give me all this stuff. You've got stuff that's been in suspended animation. You're not getting what you think you are. Find somebody local. Find somebody. I'm telling people, if you want to go forward in this, you're gone, and even ET saying it, you're going to have to grow your own stuff, but you're going to have to grow it indoor, outdoor, because of the natural pollutants and the things. But if you want to get what lettuce really is, if you buy a head of lettuce and think you're getting it fresh, they grow lettuce. Cabbage is one of the biggest crops down here in Colquitt County, and they load it on the trucks, and it goes in. They weigh it, and they got folks that are packing this stuff, and it goes right into a cooler, because they got to find out who's going to buy it, where, and how the sales are going to go. They have to. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to burst your bubble, but all these people who talk about, ooh, I went into whatever, they can have all these, quote, fresh vegetables. It's bullshit. They're not fresh. They're freshly out of a refrigerator, so they've been suspended animation. Find something that is literally fresh. It's fresher in a can because they literally took it when it was ripe and canned it, versus putting it in suspended animation. Which would you rather have? I'd rather have something that was chopped up when it was ripe, like, my favorite fruit cocktail with different kind of thingies. And you can get them in light syrup or no sugar or whatever. So, and there you can get chunks and this and that, pineapple, whatever. If you try to buy a fresh pineapple, and unless you went and chopped that puppy off, it's been through so many hands and freezers and refrigerators that it ain't fresh. I mean, it's as fresh as you're going to get in this day and age. But, people need to be aware of this. It has to do with your overall frequency. So people who think they're eating correctly are actually worse off. Well, I'm going to eat chicken, or I'm going to eat the other white meat. Are you sure about this? Do you know what you're talking about? And don't eat anything ground. Don't eat anything ground up just because you ain't got a clue what they ground up in it. Now, one of the things, if I want a hamburger, now there are times when I just break down and go into town and buy, a greasy, sloppy double cheeseburger because, damn it, they're good. But instead of having one or two a week where I used to, it's 2 or 3 months and I have one. So do I allow myself to have them? Yeah. Do I feel better in ways physically and with blood pressure and so forth? I think so. And like my arthritis is still better than my friends. And, mine isn't getting worse. She had to have her hand operated on, but, okay. But so who's right or wrong in this situation? I don't know. But I know that the changes that I made have seemed to be more positive than negative. Now, I know these cans are lined with they use a spray kind of plastic. It's not really a plastic, but it is a coating to keep the vegetables and the can from interacting because of the natural acids in the fruits mixed with the sugar, whether natural or added in the canned fruits. But the idea, though, that I can have, a case of fruit cocktail of different types and get more out of it and have them in case the lights go out or Armageddon or whatever. Whereas if I tried to get, put them in my freezer or whatever, they wouldn't be any good. So I know that there are a lot of differences and a lot of, what's fresh or whatever. But the idea, though, that what is fresh ain't fresh unless you know the farmer, and going to the farmer's market don't make it right. Because one of the things I found out several years ago, many moons ago, there was one farmer's market space in Moultrie, and they had the freshest. They would buy from a person like me. If I had half a basket of fresh squash, they would look at it and say, okay, and they'd give me whatever the going price for a pound of squash was, and then resell it on their own. So there were literally locals, but now one of the last times I was up there, I was asking, where'd you get these tomatoes? Well, we just got them out of the freezer. And I was like, what? Well, yeah, we can't keep them, because, we don't have a steady supply. So when we do get tomatoes in, I said, so are they locally grown? He goes, no, I think these are from like South America. Now here I am buying at the farmer's market in Georgia, thinking I'm buying at least a Georgia tomato or somewhere maybe in the area, and they're actually from another freaking country. I stopped buying there. I said, so all these people in town thinking they're getting locally grown farm fresh goods are actually shipped in and the dead of night. Not that they're like trying to be secret about it, but they're moving all these vegetables around in and out of coolers, and people think they're fresh vegetables. They're not. They're just not. So you need to change your ideas on that and pick your poisons. If I want hamburger, I go to a butcher and I say, I want that piece of roast beef right there, or that steak or whatever. I want that piece over there with all the fat on it. Yeah, I want that too. I want you to mix the two of them and grind the crap out of it. And those are my hamburgers. And it can be done if you look around. So you can have a hamburger and know what's in it. Buy a piece of meat and have the local guy, grind it up, or get, you can buy these hand cranked things. My dad was a meat cutter and my grandfather was a butcher. So I've been around this all my life. And, we used to make our own sausage and stuff like that back in the day, and not necessarily tube sausage, but patty sausage. So you mix in this and cut up that. You take some ham, some of the leftover ham or whatever, from the Christmas dinner, and you slice some of this and the fat and add it together, and you got your homemade sausage, and you know what's in it. So yeah, there are ways you can do this, and easy things to go around to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. Now, the idea of eating vegetables versus animals, there's not enough protein in, because of my discussion about the fresh vegetables. The vibration of the plants has been diminished because they've been in suspended animation. So you're not getting the total vibration of the plant. So in that, um, there are some things that will retain it versus, oh, well, I'm just going to eat these vegetables. You might not be getting enough. And as far as protein and certain things, and my friend, she, does all these things, but then at the same point, still has problem with her weight. She's got joint issues. She's had her knees replaced and hands and things. And, I'm like, okie dokie, but I'm eating all these fresh things. Yeah, you're spending all this extra money on all these other things, but you're not healthier. I'm sorry, I don't go into it much, but I'm like, for what you're spending and from what I'm spending in food, I'm healthier than you are. Oh, well, but I got all these that I really, yeah, well, I like stuff too, but I'm sorry, you're getting worse and I'm not. And my hands are proof in the improvement of my arthritis. So I have my own proof. She's still drinking out of plastic bottles. Okay. So how can you fix this? How can you deal with these other things? If you have foreign objects in your body, like plastics and hormones and God knows what else is in there with the stuff, they're interacting. And what the spirits have been telling me is that these new vibrations coming in are trying to heal us. And if there's too much of a substance in us, the harder it's going to hurt. The heart, I guess it'd be like passing a kidney stone. Not that I've had to do it, but I understand it's quite painful. Male or female, doesn't matter. I have had kidney issues with backed up and all that, and the I can't think of the medical term anyway, having to do with male organs. And it's not pretty. It hurts. You can't walk, and whoa. So yeah, I've been down that road, but since I've stayed out of plastics and water bottles and stuff, and I've just changed to glass, stayed with cans, because whatever the plastic liner is in a can, it's sprayed in. It's a different makeup altogether than what a plastic bottle is made out of. So people say, well, but there's plastic in a can. That's true. Different kind, different makeup, different components. It's not blow mold, just totally different. Okay. They have been making a sugar. I'm sorry. They have been making recyclable plastics out of different sugar bonds. I mean, a piece of plastic, and literally it's made out of a sugar and cornstarch and kind of thing. And some of them are even clear. So it's amazing what they've been doing with artificial plastic. So that's kind of what's in some of the cans. It's the sprayed conglomeration. They spray it in during the process of canning, and the vegetables go in, blah, 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 tops on, out of there. Cans are actually more fresh than your fresh vegetables. There's actually more in them. Now, to the fresh vegetable fruit thing, the fruits are still put into containers before they get to the canning operation. But in the canning operation, because they want to get them canned, they're refrigerated for a lesser time than a tomato would be to go on sale as a fresh item, or a peach or anything else. So when it gets to the cannery, then they treat it totally different. They want that batch to go in the can as soon as possible because they don't want to store it. They want to get it out. Different clients, like different peach. There are several small producers around here that, and so they pack it all up and then they take it straight to the cannery, and they take it and they schedule. Look, I'm bringing a shipment of cans. Blah 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 blah. We're going to be there on Tuesday. We got 12 cases. Yada yada. And they set up a time. When it gets to the cannery, it puts in a storage for the time until they get to that product, and then they run their cans. And then when that's done, then they go to the next batch. So when you understand the process of things, you go, oh, so a canned vegetable or a canned fruit actually has more nutrients than a freaking fresh one, unless you picked it or, something like that. So just saying. In searching for self, I've got something I waited till the end of this video, which is horrible. I should have said this earlier. One of the things that people have been, it seems, be very needy, and I think I still need to do a separate video on this, but I'm going to bring it up to y'all since y'all have been so kind to hang out with me. It seems as though many people need a vehicle to spirituality. Okay. But there are no shortcuts to the spirits. You must do the shadow work. The vehicle of religion helps people towards spirituality. But religion in and of itself is not spiritual. It's simply religious. You become spiritual through the vehicle of religion. And I'm using vehicle on purpose because and there are in the book, I think it was by Herman Hesse, called Siddhartha. Siddhartha goes and visits many different people, and him and his partners start out early, young in life, following different Buddhas and paths and shamans, and each one, some of them don't eat this and some of them do that, blah, some of them chant, some of them, and so they try all these different methods to try to reach a higher spirituality. And one finds none of this is working for him, Siddhartha, and he goes off on this path, and his friend goes off on another. Later on, through many other trials and tribulations, they meet again. And the one man is still searching, whereas Siddhartha has found the simpleness of nature to be his spirituality. But anyway, so with that thought, though, everybody needs a vehicle towards spirituality. I mean, in a way, I'm a vehicle towards it because they speak about it. And I discuss shaman issues and higher spiritual realms. So in a way, I am part of the vehicle, but I'm not a religion. But I am a method to understand spirituality. Whereas if you want to be a Christian, you got to get on that bus. If you're going to be a real Christian, you got to get on that Christian bus. They got to baptize y'all, and they got to, make a hidey holy ho, and now you're a Christian. Whereas for Buddhists, it's not necessarily joining a club, but you got to learn how to sit down on the floor and meditate and burn incense, kind of sort of thing. Namaste. I think some people just overuse that word, and I want to slap them sometimes. But anyway, I do say blessings a lot, but I do absolutely mean it. And I'm not saying that some folks are overusing namaste in that way, but it's almost like, oh, namaste. I can prove that I've got a higher spiritual way of thinking. And so I'm using this Buddhist word, and I'm not really sure what it means, but I'm saying it and I mean it. And so it's not a bad thing, but I don't know. It's almost like Gilligan. It's almost like Gilligan on Gilligan's Island saying it. But namaste, professor. And the professor looking at him going, what did you just say? Anyway. So that's how I see some of these things. It's almost childlike and idiotic, and it's hard for me not to make remarks sometimes. But the vehicle of religion So some people have to have a Bible. Some people got to have the Bhagavad Gita. Somebody's got to have, they got to read something, got to do something, which is the vehicle for their spirituality. When actually we are our actual own vehicle. We don't need a vehicle. We already are. You know, I'm a 63 Volkswagen, 6-volt battery, and the tires are worn. I used to have one. So I love that old bug, by the way. But anyway, but the idea, though, that we all need a vehicle to understand spirituality, whether it's meditation or prayer or going to church or whatever it is, somehow we all need a vehicle to get there. But one of the things that spirit tries to teach and the shaman is that we're already there. We don't need anything. We're already equipped with it. And the whole trick and the key and the secret to life is unlocking it in here, inside of us. It's not to search out there for other entities. We can ask other entities, well, what's it like out there in Zeta Reticula or whatever. But who we need to listen to is our own spiritual self-guide, our connection to the universe. Allow things to come through there, and any misinformation will get filtered. There are times when I'm like, look over here, and it's like there's information out there. I might see something and go, oh, well, this is interesting. Might even see an article about it, but then I'll run it through this side in my channels and go, here's this tidbit of information I seem to have yanked out of the universe for some reason. Strange idea, weird thought. What does this mean? Does it mean what these folks are saying? My side says, nah, it means something else, blah, 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 blah. But so, I'm picking things out of the universe at times too, but then I always run it through my filter. And there are a lot of people ain't using their own filter. They're seeking something else when they've already got it. So the secret to the universe is you or me. For ourselves. That's the key. Oh my God, the secret to the universe. What's the secret to life? That we're the key to our own spiritual guide. We are our own spiritual guides. We are it. But we do need vehicles. We do need people and other people to have talks with. That's why I do this. That's why you guys hang out and chat amongst yourself. That's how we learn to get to the next level. And we have been used to living in this dimension without all these extra energies. The differential difference in this moving into these higher dimensions, lower fourth, etc., we don't know how it feels. It's new to us. We're going to be sore because, we're exercising muscles in some realm we've not ever exercised before, or maybe even knew that we had. So all of these things are new to us. So we got to get comfortable in our new suit of energy. So I hope this has done some good, made some help, however it can affect you. But I absolutely do see positive changes. And we need to just keep up the good work, my friends. The big battles have been won, but there's still a bunch of cleanup to do. There's still a bunch of nasties who actually think they're going to get away with this. With so many people who have woken up with the Epstein, with the Clintons, with all this other stuff, and people are really going, well, wait a minute, and I'm not going to go on to the Epstein thing, but it is a key process in this, because it's going to open up other awarenesses. What's going to happen with this Epstein thing is people are going to go, you mean he really did have a little black book? You mean Bill Clinton really did ride that, that airplane? How many times was he logged on with the FAA? How many times was this person? Where did this guy get all his money from? Nobody knows. Where did he graduate college? Did he? Where did he get all his money? Who set this guy up? How come he's been charged with, prostitution, served time in Florida. Now he's in New York or wherever I think it's the Southern District of New York, and they're prosecuting him on sex trafficking. And you don't think this guy's got names and numbers? There are people who are cringing. But the thing is, what is coming out is that for those of us who have been saying these guys are creepos, now it's coming out they really are creepos, and that other people are being named as creepos along with them. Is this going to take down all of the deep state and everything? No, but it's bringing awareness to people that are going, oh my God, it's true. Oh my God, it's true. And once they get that truth hits, like y'all know, when you get that thing to hit you, you can't go back. You can't undo that. And people are getting that truth hit with them, and it's coming out in a lot of different ways, but it's hitting home and it's sticking. And people are going, you know what? I've been complaining and bitching and doing all this stuff. And you mean my state representative was a pedo and how many times did he go to that island? And how many times what? And what? I voted for the guy. Don't you think that's going to make local folks like me be pissed off and want to go look at the next guy and go, listen, if I vote for your ass, if I find out we're going to bring you back here to the swamp and lynch you, we're just going to cut your thingies off and feed you to the swamp. Next, so people are going to be a lot more wary of, well, I think I can get away with this, when people aren't going to be able to get away with it anymore. The subtle changes are here. They're big changes as well. And I'm yakking on and repeating myself. Let me put on my glasses and read what y'all got, and say blessings and have a happy tomorrow. Let me see what you got here. Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea says, I now strongly dislike the word organic. What a bunch of crap. And Sweet Pea also, what a lot of people don't understand is many, many years ago, the word just crap. They basically nuke they nuke everything. Okay, meats, products, this, that, and the other thing, and I can't think of the name of it. But they run everything through it, and just to kill any E. coli or anything that may be on the plant, blah 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 blah. But what it also does is it kills half of the nutrients in the plant to go along with it. And I can't think of the word. But anyway, the big stink about it years ago. Then all of a sudden, yeah, it is radiation. But they just got these machines that's sort of like they running through, people through, the metal detector. There is a high incidence of the workers at the stations, with testicular cancer and, ovarian cancer and breast cancer because they've been standing too close to that machine. Oh, it's low radiation. Yeah, but, so a person that goes through one of the machines all the time is getting radiation they're not supposed to be getting. So my idea of, putting these things up at schools and having kids going in and out of these radiation fields, or, these electromagnetic fields all the time to be scanned, are actually getting high doses of things that we didn't get as kids. I'm sorry, but, I know times have changed, but you're putting these electronic devices and things, and you're having our kids pass through and back and forth, and thinking that then nothing's happening. Well, what about the accumulation of stuff? Oh, well, Roundup was fine 30 years ago. Now it's not. Oh, what about this? Well, that was okay 30 years ago, but now it's not. So, it's safe right now with, the mice, they only lived a year, but, they're only 3-year-old mice. But what about humans? Well, we have projected in our theories there will be okay in 30 years where people are dying of cancers and stuff. So, I think it was called irradiation is what it was. And they're basically taking nuclear waste and running our vegetables and things through it to kill bacteria and stuff. Anyway, it's a craziness. But the idea of this organic stuff, and here's the thing though, the organic farmers are trying their best, but unless it goes through an organic chain, they still have to put it in a refrigerator. This stuff's going to spoil. You can't have a fresh vegetable. You got to bring that chill down, and it puts the plant into dormancy and all these other things. So, but the more, there's in Tallahassee, there's a organic place there, and some of their vegetables are locally grown. There are greenhouses and things. They do, because it's a co-op. They really do try to get the freshest, honest, organic vegetables, but they are still susceptible because they've become so big to buy in other areas that are supposed to be organic. They may come from an organic farm, but it's had to go through irradiation and other processes, and it's still been in the freezer. So, yes, it was raised better, but are you really getting the best product simply because it has the word organic on it? Just saying, you know. So, but to the point, it's having misinformation is one of the things that pisses me off. Oh, it's so good for you, when actually, nah. Vegetarian here so far, while challenging, sometimes I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, I've moved now. I've raised my own chickens, and of course, I'm down to 2, and they haven't given me an egg in over almost 2 weeks. Oh, by the way, went out to the chicken pen today to check for eggs, and as I'm going into the chicken pen, I see something that ain't supposed to be there. About a 4.5 foot snake, oak snake, checking out the bins, and I hear this clucking, and I'm like, oh, did the fox get in? Is there a possum in the hen house? Went out there, and here's this very long oak snake. And I know they hang around the house. I've got one that's about 7 foot long. I mean, it looks like a python. Beautiful, big snake. This one, a very close relative, and about a good 4 footer, probably almost 5, because I could spread my arms out and go, well, that's 5 feet right there, and he's still curled up over there. But I tried to take a picture. I came in and got my camera, but it moved when I got back. But to the idea, though, that yeah, so where my eggs have been going, their snake's been busy in the hen house, so I'm gonna have to get out there earlier before the snake does. But the snake, when the snake swallows the egg, you can see it in him. He didn't find an egg either. So, but I find that having my own eggs, and I had egg sandwiches with cheese tonight. I had one of my bell peppers and one of my onions and some of my homegrown garlic, and chopped it all up together with one of my 3 of my homegrown eggs and fake cheese from the store. What can I do? But, yum, yum, it was good. And so that's how I've been trying to live. And, find somebody local that's selling brown eggs. So you pay $3-4 a carton for them. I'd much rather give a local guy that's got a few chickens with a few extra eggs. They taste so much better. A chicken that eats natural things like bugs, hey, there's protein, and we don't eat the bugs, but the chicken does. But the chicken gets all of the nutrients from the bugs. If they only get feed and limited with what they eat, that you can tell by the yolks, the eggs that I broke open earlier tonight, orange, deep orange. I mean, like, whoa, yeah, good egg. And you get them from the store and they're yellow. Wait a minute, orange? You mean, some people say, you mean the yolks are supposed to be orange? They're not yellow? And I'm like, duh. Yeah, fresh eggs, orange yolks, not yellow. What? Oh, yeah, it makes a difference. And makes a difference in how they cook and taste, too. So, but yeah, do what you can. And regardless of where you live, you can find ways. Just look around. E-Star. Thanks for E-Star. Estera. I got that. I have to use the information you shared in an epic short video clip. Okay, son, great. Stay out of the chaos and the fear train. Absolutely. You, I had visions years ago about how pigs have been genetically endangered with human genes, so that when we eat pigs, it's like cannibalism that lowers vibration. Listen, having worked on hog farms, several of them, and I've built some hog parlors as a carpenter and a construction person, but regardless of whether or not pigs have been engineered, they're too much like human. Whatever it is about a hog, I'm here to tell you, when you look at the face of a hog and he looks back, I don't want to eat him. I mean, it cannibalism, I don't know, but a cow munching grass, not to say it's right or that it's better or more whatever, but there's more to a pig than just, the Bible says and clove and blah 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 blah. There's more to a pig, and I mean wild pigs too. They're smart as crap, the wild boars and stuff like that. And I've had wild pig, totally different than one raised on a slab. Now, would I eat a wild hog? Yeah, yeah. Diet's different. He's out in the wilderness, and there's a taste to him. Oh my God, I'm sorry, but man, it's yummy. But th- um, there's still eating a wild hog is still, if I ain't got no other choices, I'll eat a wild hog. If and down here in Georgia, they're down in the swamps all the time. It's open season for them. So if I want to go out and go bow hunting or whatever, I don't need a license or permission or nothing. I just go find me one and kill it, butcher it, and there you go. But anyway, a lot of vegetarians I know that are lots of soy ended up getting cancer or autoimmune diseases young. Irradiated, that's the word, Esther. Right. I came out with that too. But yeah, all the foods have been irradiated. Right. Probably why many vegan options now label things soy free. Word is out on soy, fortunately. Living in the cities, there really isn't a 100% perfect diet, but you can certainly try to choose wisely. It's challenging for sure. Nearly everything in today's society is unnatural. So, exactly. Now, that's why I brought up the idea that, people say, well, that canned fruit isn't very fresh. Trust me, it's probably more fresh than what they're considering as fresh. That's my point. So don't be afraid, to find a brand that you like. That's what I've done, and stick with that. But anyway, but this idea that canned is bad, nah, it actually is packed quicker and has more nutrients in it than the other stuff. I'm just saying, depending on the brand too. Um, yeah, Esteban, my best friend, is an organic farmer. They have been having a hard time because big organic companies by Mexico and other countries don't have the regulations. So it is total BS. Exactly. Um, yeah, I drink too much coffee as well, but it's one of the things they've allowed me to like, since I have narcolepsy issues, the caffeine, and of course my water is well watered with, it's got a clay mixture, and I use baking soda when I make my coffee. So, I don't drink just coffee, but anyway. Um, Sweet Pea says getting hit with the truth is almost enough to break a person. Yeah, and some of these people that they're going to break, and it ain't going to be because of space aliens. Just saying. Um, right, irradiation. Thank you, Esther. All school cafeteria foods are irradiated. All foods are if they're processed and go through certain operations. You know. Now they do have ways of using ultraviolet light and oh man, I can't think of it right now, but it's not irradiating, but it has a very similar effect. But you do put it through something, but it's not being irradiated. There is a difference. And I worked with a friend of mine who was an engineer and a chemist for a leading worldwide sewage treatment plant facility that's located in Thomasville. He was their lead chemist and engineer for many years until he retired. So, and we've been friends for years. So I would go and he would get, I mean, you talk about toxic waste. He would get toxic waste brought in special containers and then figure out how to purify it. And I'm talking about this because I was hoping I would remember what the word is anyway, but the idea is that it goes through certain wavelengths and it will kill certain bacteria without harming what's on it. The other side of the coin is they assume it hasn't taken anything out of the plant. Now that's the other side of that. Well, it doesn't appear to mess with the thing, but we don't see any bacteria on it. We don't see this and that. Yeah, but so they are passing it off as nothing has happened. Well, if it killed the bacteria, I think it's had negligible influence on the vegetable or whatever, but it's got to be having some kind of effect because it killed the bugs. I mean, it's just there's the answer right there. Unless you live in a bubble, organic is a myth. Absolutely, Sweet Pea. Esther Rob, big organic companies get food from other countries where it's not regulated. Agreed, Esther Rob. Now, we have some large farms here in South Georgia, and they're acres and acres and acres of greenhouse. And they are greenhouse grown. And so because they're inside, they don't have the pesticides, they don't have all these other things. And if you can get to them and buy through you're getting a dang near close organic vegetable because they don't want to spray pesticides or insecticides, whatever, inside of these greenhouses because they're so controlled. But I've seen them, been by them. A few years back, I almost got a job working at one as a shift person that just went around and made sure all the fans were still running, blah, 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 blah. And so, but I got to say that the vegetables coming out of there, they're as good as some of these other places. And Colquitt County and some of the farmers here, instead of growing it in the ground, have realized that growing it indoors is a year-round operation. They can control the fertilizer, they control the environment, blah, 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 blah. And the vegetables and so forth looking good. Now, soybeans difficult to grow indoors. You need a bunch of soybean. You just do. And the toxins and the radiations and all of the things that go into the idea of a soybean. Now, greenhouses, we're going to have to do greenhouses. I know I've been sitting here and kicking myself. Back when it was cool, I spent a lot of time in my garden out back because my garden has been here for 35 years, as long as I've been on the property. And with all the effort and toil and everything that I put into my garden, hoping with the potatoes and all these other things, I didn't net anywhere near what I should have got. All this energy, now because of all the fertilizer, I got weeds that are taller than the vegetables. For whatever reason, the vegetables, they're locked up, but the weeds are growing like hell. I can't keep up the weeds. So instead of being able to plant more, I'm working my ass off to keep the nature from taking my goddamn garden over again this year. And so I'm wasting all this time on something I'm not getting anything from. I'm yanking weeds out of the ground again, So it's like, now had I worked my tail off on my front porch and finishing it up as a greenhouse front porch and the greenhouse out by the chicken pen, had I finished those, I wouldn't have weeds growing in them. I wouldn't have these other issues. I would have control of the situation. I could be growing vegetables instead of pulling frickin' weeds. Things got to change on my end. And every time I walk out there, yeah, but I like working in the garden. Yeah, but you're not getting anything from this, Dave. You're spinning your wheels. Well, but, bugs got in with this, got in with that. The wrong thing. The sunlight burned them. Yada, 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 yada. If I build the greenhouse and use these simple techniques, and I've got all the equipment, I just need to set it up. So in my own reality, I still have to pull the weeds because I don't want it to overtake my garden entirely. I'm, in 2 months, when the weather changes, I'm going to be able to grow, collards and greens and those cold weather things that do fine down here. They do real well in the wintertime down here in my garden, but not the summertime, whatever's going on now, kind of crap. But so with that said, though, I'm going to spend more time in my garden in an uncontrolled situation in a large area because I can't give up gardening. But I need to change my own point of view and spend more time and get these damn greenhouses done. So when I do spend time on something, I actually get a damn tomato. Instead of seeing the tomato I had the other day, I went out there, beautiful, ready to almost ripe. I go out there today, a bug's eating halfway through it, and the damn thing fell on the ground. And I'm like, the frickin' bug got it before I did. And I was like, no, I'm going to leave it on this vine one more day because it helps with the sweet. Nope, bug got it, ended up feeding it to the chickens. Damn it. So I spent all this time taking care of these tomato plants to end up feeding the bug and the chickens. That just makes no sense. And other people are having that same issue. So we got to relook at things. But you can do indoor stuff. You can grow stuff in your house. People say, well, I don't know. Nah. You can get some LED multicolored lights that they use for growing weed and other things with. They're having great success with vegetables of all different kinds. You can use plastic pipe and hook them together. Doesn't cost that much. And you've got a system that you can reuse, clean, and blah, blah, blah. There are ways to do this that are not that difficult. And once you do them, you got them. Okay. Now for me, I've got passive solar house. So I get a lot of light in the daytime, but it's indirect light. And it's not the same. It's not the right frequency because of the glass that keeps some of the other frequencies out. So I supplement it with some fluorescent lights that I make sure it's a double light. One of them is one kind of bulb and another's another. So between the two bulbs, I'm getting the right frequency. I use a real honest to God black light, not them playthings with the purple bulbs you plug in now. I mean a real honest to God black light. But so that you get the right frequencies when you're growing whatever it is you're growing. Do it indoors. You've got it all controlled and it's yours. And for what people spend on organic vegetables that ain't really doing them and you don't know what you're getting, just say, well, I'm not buying tomatoes this week, maybe just one or something. And I'm going to take $3 or $4 over here and I'm going to put it in the pot and I'm going to get a pot and I'm going to grow my own damn tomato over here in the corner of the kitchen. Back in the day during World War II, back in the days of the Depression, people had what was called victory gardens. Had a couple of plants of this, that, and everything. Everybody had a victory garden because they depended upon them. We just need to go back to that. My friends, I love you all. It's almost 4 a.m. It's been 2 hours. It's been absolutely aerate your soil and ensure it's not acidic. Yeah, son, I've got an issue with my soil that's locked, and I think it's magnesium. I think because I've been using my chicken manure as my natural fertilizer and not necessarily substituting, I've been using regular agricultural lime to try to match the pH. But see, there's something else missing. And when I poured Epsom salts, I added a teaspoon of Epsom salts to about 2 gallons of water. And as soon as I watered over it, it was like the plants went, ding. There's, one tiny little bit of another element it's got enough this, it's got enough that, but there wasn't enough magnesium to trigger the plant to grow. Same thing with my tomatoes. So, but I don't have a mass spectrometer to check and see what my chemical layers are. But when you do things artificially inside, you can control those kinds of things. But now that I know, it's very possibly a magnesium issue, I got Epsom salts cheap. Magnesium's easy. And so I can remedy this. And it looks like this might be one of those remedies. But to the point, we all need to work on our own areas. In northern Minnesota, veggie farmers have to have a greenhouses. I just planted June 5th due to freezing. Yep, there's some big greenhouse farms around here. I used to have, well, my last wife was from Minnesota. Uh, How'd you like to hear about people who have been around and done everything? Um, get some rabbits, best fertilizer around, and they poop lots and lots. Yeah, but they're a bitch to keep. And unless you're into killing and eating rabbits, which I can't do, I raised rabbits. We raised rabbits to sell to other people. And it's true about the poo, but it's really difficult. Chickens, you get eggs from chickens. If I was going to have, and you can eat them too, if you, but the thing is that of all the farm critters that I've had over the years, get some chickens because you absolutely get something from it, and you can chop their little heads off and eat them if you need to. But to the point, rabbits are rabbits, and the only thing you get out of rabbits is rabbit shit, and it's not as good as chicken manure. I've I've done the research on the test, and the thing is though, and rabbits are a pain in the ass, and rabbit food is expensive, and if you're going to feed them weeds and stuff and blah blah blah. But then the only thing you get out of a rabbit is you got to kill that SOB if you're going to eat it, meat it, and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm not that kind of farmer. Not to say that you shouldn't or can't, but still, I would still say chickens on the scale of which is easier to raise. Chickens still are much easier to raise. A lot more in a smaller area. They move around. They eat bugs. They get protein on their own. Rabbits, you got to cage them some bitches up. You can't let them out of nothing. They'll dig out of a hole. Whereas chickens are pretty easy to control. Both have to deal with critters like snakes and foxes and possums and things. But as far as what you get out of it, chickens, hands down. Yeah, rabbits are cute, but the thing is that we raised them and went to rabbit shows. A good show rabbit sells for $100 to $200. Yeah, we were selling some of our rabbits. We had these floppy-eared, fuzzy ones, and dumb as a box of rocks. And I mean, even in a pen. But these things were getting $75 a piece. So we'd take them to the local pet stores and to the flea markets on Sundays, Saturday on the weekends, and put rabbits up for sale. I mean, a good rooster down here will go for $100. A good sized Rhode Island red or a black sex lynx. That I had a Dominecker that I broke its neck because it was attacking me and tried to kill me, literally spurring me, had me down on the ground, son of a bitch. But anyway, and they buy them for these rich people around here buy them for their play farms. They like to have a rooster on because look at how proud that rooster is. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it's crazy mess, But anyway, they're inbred to get that look. And it makes them dumber than hell and susceptible to diseases and all that kind of nonsense. So yeah, I've been through a lot of this myself, but to the point, now another thing, if I were a younger man, but here again, you got to kill them to eat them. But goats for milk is one of the other things that I was going to invest in. But the problem is with goats, their milk is what they eat. So where a lot of people say, oh, I got a goat, we milked it. Oh God, it was horrible. Yeah, because you let it pasture out there and let it eat weeds and sour things, and the milk tastes like crap. If you want a milk goat, you got to feed it sweet hay. Well, sweet hay and that kind of stuff is expensive. And unless you got a really good income to feed your goats, for milk goats or whatever, you got to have some other kind of steady income. Otherwise, you're going to have goat's milk that tastes sour, bitter, and otherwise. So even in raising goats, unless you've got these other things, or you plan on eating the goats themselves, which goat meat ain't bad, I got to say, over a barbecue spit. But And I would prefer a goat over a wild hog any day in that respect, because the goat is more like a deer. And deer meat, gotta say, a 2 or 3 year old buck or doe, man, that's some good eating. I'm sorry, you know, I don't like killing Bambi neither, but sometimes the deer do get overpopulated down here. And when, I've hit three of them with my truck that I couldn't put in the freezer, but, um, the idea though that, there was a doe and a fawn in my yard just, I guess it's been about a week ago now. I mean, just walked right across the yard over to the field. My place has natural habitat on it where all these other places around here burn their underbrush and they keep it mowed, and there's no place for the deer to hide. So I find deer and all these other critters on my property because I try to keep a balance. Anyway, I'm a wildlife manager. That's what I studied, and then I got, convicted of, marijuana, and I couldn't get a job in state or federal in any park or situation. So, you know how that goes. But anyway, so there are a lot of things I've known, but just simply living down here on my property for the last 38 years has just taught me a lot, just watching what's going on around me, and the birds and the this and the that and blah blah blah. It's just observation. It's just day to day looking at shit. But it also relates to the bigger picture of the rest of the world. I see other areas, and I was watching part of the speech thingy with Trump. I think it was today. Was talking about the EPA and all that, and red tide and this and that. And I've been talking about the pollution from all the chicken manure down in our local rivers. And the EPA was on it years ago. That's how I found out about this. And if he's so, Humpty Dumpty about working on clean water, and they want to put money into fixing things, then guess what? This needs to get brought up, because what an infrastructure situation for down here in South Georgia. This chicken manure needs to be collected and put into a methane digester to get all the nasties off of it. And then what comes out of it is a better fertilizer than the crap and the things and what they're trying to do now. And so all of this extra chicken poo is washing into the river. It's killing the oxygen, which is killing the fish, which is, I've talked about the frogs and stuff are all gone. There's the lower ends there. You can't find a crawdad anymore on the river. Where did all the crawdads go? Where have all the frogs gone? Where's all the lower life forms that used to be on the river? Plentiful. Aren't there anymore? Where's all the natural mussels? And it's all because of the oxygen depletion from the chicken manure from all these huge chicken plants around here that took over for the tobacco industry. It's been this cycle. So now we have chicken farms instead of tobacco farms. What a shame. I wish I'd go back to the tobacco. But the idea, though, that Trump and the administration, they talked about it and they want to fix some of these issues. Awareness. So rather than want to picket these people to stop it, I want to picket them and say, let's change this. We can't go on with this anymore. It's like the Everglades. The Everglades is knotted up and everything. They want to fix it, all those millions of dollars. There's a way to fix the trash and the garbage in the rivers down here in South Georgia. Too much chicken poop. There's a way to fix that, but we need incentive. We need backing. Somebody needs to say, hey, we need to stop this. There's green algae growing in sections of the river where nothing else will grow now. There are chemicals that are come out now. Thank God we've got enough rain that's washing some of this downriver. But guess where it's headed? Tallahassee. Guess where it goes after Tallahassee? Into the Gulf of Mexico, in the Panhandle. Guess where? Near St. Mark's Wildlife Refuge. So all this pollution in South Georgia from all these chicken plants are headed to the coast. It just, how long is it going to take to get there? Well, for the last 15 years, they've had quite a few chicken plants up there. So you trying to tell me that none of this crap literally hasn't made it to the coast in the last 15 years? Some of these particulates are making it to to the bay down there, to Ocklawahnee Bay, and then into Alligator Point, and St. Mark's is around the corner over here. But it empties out right there in the middle of the Panhandle. I mean, I'm sorry, the Big Bend area. So, and I've noticed in recent trip where there are 4 new barns on existing property that already have 8 to 10 chicken houses. They've added another barn, 4 new barns within a 5-mile radius of me. That ain't counting the rest of the county and nearby, just within a 5-mile radius of me. Between me and Meg's and back there are 3 huge farms. And 2 of them sit within 1,000 feet of a major tributary that drains into the Ocklawahnee River, which drains into Tallahassee, which drains into yada-da-da-da-da. We need to stop it now before it gets any worse. And I'm thank God that, Trump is even talking about clean water. We need to clean up our waterways. Thank you, Jesus. Somewhere along the line, if we bring this about to the right people, then maybe somebody will listen and say, you know what? We need infrastructure for a methane plant. So we collect the chicken poop, put it into these, and we can get methane off of it so we can generate electricity. We can actually get something out of it rather than it just ending up in our estuaries and in the swamps and killing all the critters from here to the coast. We can do this. We got to do it. We have to do it. But now with people being aware, and that's one of my my current future projects is to keep awareness on a local level. Hey folks, do you know what your chicken plants are doing? There's an alternative. We need to talk to our government folks and say, hey, we need some grants down here to get this started, but we can fix this. My friends, I got 440 insurance claim for a goat attack on your car. Oh my God. Tinfoil. Hey, brother. No freaking way. Hey, how are you? I'm not raising animals just to harvest them. I hardly have the patience for tomatoes. Wait, who attacked you? A chicken? Yeah, it was a big Dominecker rooster. Mean son of a bitch. Spurred me, had me down on my back, and I've got these pieces of plastic pipe that I use in the garden for staking things up and for holding plastic up over plants. And I had me down and I grabbed one and I didn't mean to kill him, but I broke his neck, but he was trying to kill my ass. Yeah, buddy. If anything, you want to raise magic mushrooms. Well, they grow around here, down here in South Georgia. Frogs almost gone in northern Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, we used to have huge bullfrogs and go frog gigging and have real frog legs. I haven't seen a frog big enough to even think about sauteing, let alone, have a honest to God breaded chicken leg. Blue jays are mean enough. I might be able to raise and harvest them. Yeah, even if we were allowed in Alaska, that I'm a longtime vegetarian mostly. I got you there, Tinfoil. Michigan is great, and it's I guess it's far from the worst places to live, except in the winter, maybe. Yep, I agree. I've got frogs in Ohio. I got family frogs in Ohio, and some of them are like, you know what? I think maybe we just had enough of Ohio and stuff like that, and way too much snow. And it's like, down here it gets cold, but I can move around in the wintertime. I can grow vegetables down here in the wintertime with cold frames and stuff. They do pretty well in my garden. Summertime's for crap. And I'm, trying to keep the weeds and everything from taking over. But, I'm waiting for the fall already. I'm pulling weeds and preparing because I'm fixing the plant for the fall garden. But anyway, my love to you all, my friends. We just need to keep up the good work, and it's wonderful to be able to share stuff with you. Tinfoil Hat, Estera, and who did I miss back up here? Oh, Sweet Pea, Sun. Anybody else that's still hanging out? Supernatural, if you're still there. Blessings to all of you, my friends. Yeah, and keep trying stuff. I just refuse to give up. I mean, as much as I'm like, what the hell? Am I going to go out there and plant in the garden again? Yeah, I'm going to go back out and try some more okra in another row. This time I'm going to throw some magnesium in there. I'm going to check my pH again. And I know in a part of the garden I had added too much lime. So I'm not too acid, I'm too base. And I've literally had to add acidic things in, like vinegar, to try to, bring it back down, because it was like 9 on the chart. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to be 7. So way to the other way with the lime. And that's my fault. But the odd thing is that the weeds will grow 3 times faster and higher than the vegetable seeds I grow, and they're this far apart from one another. So the weeds here, the greens are here. I pull up this one, it grows up a little taller, another weed will come up, grow past it, and wait a minute. So it's not just the soil, there's something else going on. I ain't got a clue what it is, but it's weirdness. And I'm not just the only one, but a friend of mine came by the other day and left me some fresh okra and some a couple of snap beans and a great big huge handful of cherry tomatoes. And oh, yum yum. So other folks aren't having problems like some of us are having, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. My garden is organic, and they use fertilizer in a bag, and like, well, you got to use this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but my garden used to do fine without, didn't have any problems. I don't know what's going on, but obviously there is something. But not everybody's having issues, but a lot of people are. He was like, we just didn't have any trouble this year, and I'm all, thank you, Jesus. He brought me a homegrown watermelon, that I'm fixing to put in the freezer or the refrigerator tomorrow. It's finishing ripening up. So, and I got a homegrown yellow squash and a couple of cucumbers. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. Not everybody, and not a bug on them, no pesticides, absolutely fresh organic. So, it's out there. We just have to put forth the time and effort to do it. So, my friends, my buttocks are in pain. I got old man stiffness, and it's 3 a.m. Alien weeds, crazy issues here too. Yeah, absolutely. Ha ha ha. It's great to see you again, all y'all. Thank you, Tinfoiler and Esther Ra and everybody. Yeah, it's 4:09 here, so time to call it quits for this evening. Thank you, Tinfoil. If there's other planets, I hope we get to visit them safely. Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. So blessings, my friends. Until next time, keep it between the ditches. Remember, as my closing prayer always goes, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, and I sincerely mean this, that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive the blessings and the knowledge and the healing from the universe. I wish to thank you personally and on behalf of the angels and other entities. Thank you for sharing what you do. Thank you for promoting the good in this universe. We are winning. It is being slow, but we do all feel the change. So blessings. Cheers, everybody. Cosmic hugs. Be safe. And until next time, I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I also, by the way, had a friend take me up on doing a kayak trip on the river. So we're going to schedule that in the next week or so. So options still open. Anybody comes through this area, want to get on the river, let me know. Good night, y'all. Good morning and blessings.